everyone. I am Alyse Thompson-Richards, editor-in-chief of Cannabis Products Insider. I'm here with Erin Gore, founder and CEO of Garden Society. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
And so I'd love to start from the beginning. I'd love to learn more about you and your background. How did you get into cannabis?
Yeah, I got into cannabis like so many of us, I think, who started companies in the last 10 years, which was through self-need. I had both my hips replaced, my left one in 11, my right in 2012. And in 2008, 2009, I had just moved to California and I was really looking for an alternative to opiates and to prescription medication. I was on a path that kept increasing in dose and adding prescriptions. First, it was pain management, then it was sleep management, then it was anxiety management. And I realized I didn't like the path I was on, and I needed to find something more holistic, something that I felt worked better, and something that was better for me and my body. And so I got my card. I'd always been a closet smoker. I played sports in college, so I wasn't really too much of a user then because of the regulations around it. But I always really enjoyed smoking weed. And so in 2008, I got my card. I started going into dispensaries in California, and I started understanding and exploring the world of edibles as we know it. And back then things were very different. They were very strong. So the dispensaries weren't really the right place for me to find edible products for me. And so being a chemical engineer, I started making them.
Wow, that is amazing. And so when exactly did you found Garden Society specifically?
Yeah. So I started kind of like DIY in 2008, 2009. It's been, it was a really fun journey. I had a little lab in my house doing extractions, doing tinctures, making hash. Like I just really got into the science and the chemistry of it, exploring like all the beautiful things cannabis can be. And then I started having parties with my friends because my friends found out. And so they started coming over and saying, well, I want edibles too. I want you to make me some. Can I buy some? And so I had this moment in spring of 2016 where I had over 50 women at my house. I realized there was this huge need for products and education for women and the way to make really highly efficacious products that helped people live better and feel better. And so a couple of weeks later, I actually quit my job and I set out to build what is now Garden Society. So we launched at Emerald Cup 2016. I took a couple months off from my big corporate job. It took me a little bit to figure out like, how do you make an LLC? How do you start a collective? I had to figure out everything of actually how to create the business and the products. But then I was really proud that we were able to launch at such an iconic place like Emerald Cup. We actually made the cover of the LA Times, not just your normal mom in her sweater set. Where I was like, oh God, I'm already being referred to as a mom in a sweater set. But that's okay.
Well, I mean, that really speaks to your purpose as in, supporting women with cannabis. And you mentioned, of course, the big party at your house. Is that kind of how you got inspiration for the name?
Actually, good question. So I worked really hard on the name. I wanted something that was an homage to cannabis, but also really focused around community because community was really core to why we created this company. I felt like when I had my big corporate job, I had lots of travel. I was always at the airports. I was just working like crazy and I felt like I didn't really have a community. But the truth was I didn't see the community that I had. And once I started exploring cannabis with them, I realized I had this incredible group of friends. I had this incredible network and it was really like mine to embrace and grow. So we actually hired a namer. Eat My Words is her name, Alexandria. She's in San Francisco. But we wanted something that was, inspired by the garden and by flowers and beauty, and also inspired around the sense of community and how that comes together. So that's where we got to Garden Society.
Oh, that's beautiful. And if anything that I've discovered, cannabis really brings people together.
Oh, it does. It's really special like that. It's hard to explain to people too until they experience it and understand it.
And so, of course, I know the company offers flower and pre-rolls, but I'd really like to focus on on the edibles that the company offers.
Sure.
How did you approach product development for the gummies?
Yeah, good question. So we launched with a different version of our gummies in 2016. It was a pet we Sarah Payan from the Apothecarium said we were the first high-end edible in the market, in the California market at the time. It was definitely a revolutionary product for the California market and very different than the gummies are today. It was artisanal. We had a really incredible, talented chef who made it. We cut it on a guitar. So it was an exquisite product. The market changed a lot. It was very hard to scale that product. It was expensive to manufacture that product. And it was also really hard to test it because of the pectin colloid structure with the fruit purees, and the sophistication of the labs weren't quite there. So we said, look, we're running up against all these roadblocks. We need to really rethink this and figure out how to make a better product to go to market. So we retooled, we pulled it from the market, we retooled the gummy line totally and started all over. When we relaunched the gummy line, we wanted to have really distinct flavors that we loved. We also wanted to create a sense of place with the gummy line because there's so many generic gummies out there where it's like a logo on a bag and a gummy. And so we were like, how do we create distinct flavors that also tie to Garden Society? So that's where we came up with the wine flavors, because we know how much women love wine, men too. And we said, look, what if we could actually create wine flavors in the gummies? We don't use any wine. There's no alcohol in the product, but really to create that sense of place to Garden Society, to wine country, because we're based in wine country. I live in Healdsburg. Our factory's in Cloverdale. So we did a lot of R&D on the flavor profiles then, and we got to, my husband has an exquisite palate. He's in the wine industry. So he's our biggest critic, along with Carly, my co-founder. So we got to flavors after iteration and iteration and iteration and iteration that they liked and we liked. And so I think we really nailed that. When it comes to the THC side of it, I think this is something that people don't fully appreciate, is that you have to have a lot of focus and like intentionality around the efficacy of your products, especially with edibles. I don't really care for distillate edibles. I never have. They give you a residual headache in my experience for me. It's also a different high. I did a study with a professor out of Lehigh in 2016 around bioavailability of edibles, just to understand how does the body absorb THC and how does the body absorb different form factors in the digestion process. And so I got a lot of insights and information into using the lipids, using the fats, using the parts of the cannabis plant that a distillate would strip out, because that actually aids the bioavailability of the cannabinoid profiles into the body in a more synergistic and holistic way. So when we talk about the entourage effect and full spectrum cannabis, that's what we're talking about. And that's why it's so important to have that in your edible. So being a chemical engineer, I think I had a little bit of a leg up on some of this, but we really wanted to create the first full spectrum fast acting edible in the market. So we really wanted to have that full entourage effect, all the lipids, the bioavailability, all the things that we know are so important, but make it happen in 20 to 30 minutes. And so that's where we were able to do some chemistry. We were able to bring our experience, some trade secrets to it. I was able to really tap in some resources from my past in the chemical industry and create a process and create a like an emulsion that really delivered that full spectrum high, but in a fast acting way. And then on top of it, we are starting to play with minors in addition. So like really putting it all together in a way, but having it be accessible to the consumer and competitive on the shelf and also taste good. That was a lot to unpack. So I hope you got that.
That was incredible. And actually, it's a great segue into my next question. What does the company hope to accomplish by offering, different minor cannabinoids and I'm assuming different effects that goes with them?
Yeah, exactly. So we explored our first, so we've always had CBD ratios. And I think one thing that's unique about Garden Society that people don't fully understand is we actually source the cultivars with the ratios in them. So we source and we do full spectrum blends. So we're not sourcing CBD isolate and then blending it. We're sourcing full spectrum, we're putting it together. Obviously in California, all of our minors are sourced on the cannabis derived supply chain because that's the requirement. So a good example of this is our THCV gummy that we just launched. It's a new effect, joyful and present. If you haven't experienced THCV, it's an incredible effect. I'm not quite convinced it's super appetite suppressant, but I do not get the munchies on it, which is good. So maybe appetite suppressant from Stonerville. I don't know if it's appetite suppressant as like a diet pill, like I won't eat for 2 days, but I definitely won't eat a bag of Doritos. So that's a good thing. And then it does make you really chatty, really social, really present. It's just a very joyous product. So in that product, we actually sourced a cultivar through proprietary genetics through one of our partners, Phylos, that is a 1-to-1 THCV to THC genetic. So we take that plant material, have it extracted into a full spectrum oil nano emulsify that using our proprietary process, and then use that in to make the gummies. So it's as real true to the plant and cultivar as we can get. We have seen such a tremendous response from the miners because they do deliver different effects, and it is different from the THC effect. And so I think with people's sophistication in cannabis, I know people say there's a lot of unsophisticated consumers, and I agree. But I also think operating in California, there are a lot of very sophisticated customers and consumers. And so creating distinct effects derived by true full spectrum minor cannabinoids are really being valued, and it's really our time to shine. We have some very cool, we have a very cool product development pipeline with CBG and CBC coming that we're really excited to bring those effects and those products to life this summer. So keep your eyes out for that. They'll be launching in July. But I just think it gives marketers more room to play with different effects, but have it still be authentic and have that efficacy there, and have the consumer understand like, oh, joyful and present. Okay, so I'm like really present and I'm laughing and I'm having fun and I am very joyful. And like, oh, that's this 1-to-1 THC to THCD minor cannabinoid ratio that created that effect. So it's exciting. I mean, I wish there was more federal research around the minor cannabinoids and like how they interact and what they do. And I mean, what we only know, I think 81, and there's projected to be over 600, 900. So like there's so much to be discovered about the cannabis plant that we don't know. And then I think what's interesting, developing products in the different markets is, so for example, in Ohio, there is no minor cannabinoids in the metric supply chain. Everything is supposed to be brought in via the hemp channel. So you can play with different cannabinoids differently, but the efficacy is just not quite the same as the cannabis derived supply chain. So how do we make efficacious products that can translate across different markets is also something we're really working on and trying to understand and see, like, how do we bring genetics with us, or how do we look at like scaling these effect-based companies with more technical cannabinoid formulation recipes and really bring that to market.
Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned, of course, the your flower partners. Forgive me for not knowing, but do you guys do the extraction, or do you have an extraction partner?
It depends. Colorado. Oh my gosh, we're not in Colorado. In Ohio, we do all of our own extractions. In California, we do some of our own extractions, and then we also have an extraction partner that we work with. In California, there's been people who have been fantastic at extracting for years. We work with our same extraction partner that we've worked with since 2016, to be totally honest. We've just had an incredible relationship with them, and they do a wonderful job for us. So it's just, easy and consistent. They know us, we know them. And it doesn't make sense for us to stand up our own rigs in California, given the capacity in the California marketplace and the relationships we have. In New Jersey, we'll be doing our own extractions, because in New Jersey, it's a little bit different. It's like almost lack of skill, I guess. No knock on any of the operators in New Jersey. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but there's just there's a lot of capacity for extraction, but it's mainly tied into the multi-state operators and the big publicly traded companies. So as a smaller company with a processing license, how we're going to get the exact extraction we want, the way we want it, they're less inclined to want to work with that. So anyway, with that being said, yeah, we tailor what we do in each market to what we're making in each market and what each market needs, but we try to templatize it as much as we can across the process.
That's incredible. And before we talk more about the expansions that Garden Society has been, undergoing recently, I'd like to touch on the chocolate edibles first. Can you discuss
Sure.
how the company approached developing those products?
Yeah, totally. So one thing I learned with the research, the professor I told you about, is that chocolate is so fat based and cannabis is so fat based. So they love each other. They're such an incredible pair, chocolate and cannabis. And so when we think about the bioavailability, like the best carrier for the longest night's sleep is really full spectrum, full lipid, full fat based products. So that is what absorbs most into your body. That's what lasts the longest in your body. That's where you get the most bioavailability, the most, efficacy from. So we started to make a gummy product for day and a chocolate product for night, literally because I couldn't sleep because of pain. So we really started with a 1-to-1 high THC, high CBD. For me, we developed the product for self need, again, for like, how do I sleep through the night? I need to not wake up in pain. And And I really believe a little bit of CBD. I know CBD is a stimulant, but a little CBD with THC is also really incredible for sleep because it really helps regulate your systems, right? So that's how we started. In about 3 years ago, we transitioned from products to effects. And so during that transition, we had a really incredible product development chocolatiers that we work with in wine country. Their company is called Bolo Chocolates, if you want to look them up online. And so we had some incredible recipes, and we decided to take the same concept with like the gummies to say, look, it's not a gummy or a chocolate. These are the effects, and we can make products for these effects across each different form factor. So our chocolates are full spectrum. They are not fast acting. They take 90 minutes to 2 hours to take effect. They last a solid 6 hours though. So it's incredible for sleep because it like lasts the whole time. We still have the same ratio. So we have the Calm and Focus, which is our high CBD, low THC line. We have the Brighter Day, which is our sativa, 10 milligram THC sativa daytime line. And then we have our Blissful Rest, which is our 10 milligram indica plus CBD, deep relaxation sedative line. So that's our rest line. And those cultivars that we're choosing in that full spectrum oil are very sedative cultivars. So we're trying to pick the cultivars. We don't market it strain specific because it's kind of too hard to market like that, honestly, in the edible space. But like we're really focused on cultivars and full spectrum oils that are from the cultivars that we know deliver that profile of the effect we're going for.
And, given all the thought put into these effects, what has the consumer response been?
The consumer response has been tremendous. Like I would say we're small but mighty because we are, we in California, it's really hard to play the price game as a small business. We have to sell product, make money, collect it, and make more product and sell it again. So I would say we're a very beloved brand. We have customers who swear by our products and love our products, which we're very proud of. And then I think what's really exciting right now is we position the company. We finally got the right sales team, the right distributor, and we're really growing through an inflection point of growth in the market. So I think people are really understanding the efficacy and the quality of the products that we make and are appreciating them in the market now. So we're excited. In Ohio, we've had a tremendous response to our products. It's been very cool and actually reaffirming because we all know cannabis is so hard right now in California. So in Ohio, it's a very difficult market, but it's also been really great to see the consumer response and, feel like, okay, we're doing something right.
And of course, that's a great segue. You mentioned Ohio and New Jersey. How did that expansion process begin? Did Ohio come first?
And so as a chocolate, gummy, pre-roll, concentrate, flower company, I was like, who do we partner with to bring multi-categories of Garden Society to market in these new markets? So we started landscaping the multi-state operators. We were looking at the independent operators. We had a hard time finding people interested in us because we were a smaller California brand. They loved the quality, they loved the positioning, but they're like, well, you're not big enough. And then we had the people who were interested in us didn't have the skills. So they could maybe make a gummy, but they couldn't make a pre-roll, or they could make a pre-roll, but they didn't have access to kitchen. So we had a really hard time figuring out like, this is the company we should partner with. Or they didn't have quality procedures. What's a quality procedure? What do you mean you want an allergen program? What do you mean you want this? So just like it's just such an immature industry and there's a lack of sophistication in that capacity. So we decided, and we had an investor say like, hey, if you can do it in California, why can't you do it anywhere else? And we said, oh, we couldn't raise the money. How would we get the license? Like a lot of limiting beliefs. And she called us on our bullshit and she was like, oh, here's an opportunity. Let's try to go for it. So we took over a distressed asset in Ohio. It was a processor that was awarded, but they had 2 failed starts with different multi-state operators, and they were in distress. They were given so long before they had to find a partner, they were going to get shut down. And so we were able to come to the table, negotiate a really aggressive partnership for us, a beneficial partnership for us, put a lot of resources into it. We had just closed our Series A financing. So we were able to take our resources, invest them in the business, commercialize the business, and launch Garden Society products in the market. So that was our first project. There was a lot of learnings. We have a lot of battle scars, things we did really well, things we did really bad, things we're going to do much better next time. Around the same time, the Jersey portal opened for applications. The Jersey was voted rec. The portal opened up for annuals and conditional applications. And then New Jersey did something really interesting. They made it very favorable for diverse owners, women and people of color, to apply for a license. So in New Jersey, if you were a woman or person of color, majority owned, you did not have to have real estate to apply. So it took about maybe 16 months to get the license awarded. So we applied, we forgot about it for a year. We operated California, we turned on Ohio, we got the license in New Jersey, and then we had to go find real estate, partners, build out, figure it out, raise the money, all that stuff. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So it was serendipitous that it went Ohio first and then New Jersey. I'm glad it wasn't the other way around. But then we've been able to take partly our success of Ohio and our success of California, raise the capital to build Jersey. We're closing it right now, and then we're launching late summer in the Jersey market. So we're going through tenant improvements. We've gotten the conversions done, and we're getting off to the races. So we're really excited about that.
Wow, that is incredible. And it's my understanding that you're working with Kiva in New Jersey. Can you discuss how that partnership came about?
Yeah, it is. I realized one day I was at MJ BizCon, and all the MSO senior leaders were sitting around this table trading deals. And I was like, I need to trade deals. I need to be more aggressive. What am I doing? You know? And so when I was thinking about New Jersey and I was thinking about the capital markets, I was like, I have to go for big partners. So half our business in California is contract manufacturing. We manufacture products for people. We're known for that. People also know that we make high quality products for Garden Society, so they trust us. And so I started exploring about who would be the right partners for New Jersey. And I've always really had deep respect for Christy and Scott and the business they've built and the Kiva products. I think they're a best in class operator. I actually tried to get them to distribute Garden Society back in the day, and they said I was too competitive. But I was able to basically, figure out the right guy to talk to and say, hey, I have this crazy idea. Like, we can make your stuff in Cali. We know you, you know us. Like, let's do a deal and bring you to market in Jersey. And given the fact that Jersey is so dominated by MSOs, yet there's a lot of small companies who are trying to start, but they're not started. We're an interesting between where we're an experienced multi-state operator at this point, yet we're a California legacy operator, and yet they trust us, and we're women owned and we're still small. So it kind of checked all the boxes for Kiva. I was able to use the opportunity to negotiate a really great distribution agreement in California, help solve my problem over here, I'll solve your problem over there. And they've been just a tremendous partner. So we're really lucky, but we also worked really hard to get here. And, we're really excited for how both companies are showing up to launch in New Jersey.
Absolutely. And collaboration is completely necessary for the success of the whole industry.
Exactly.
And so, of course, you have California, you have Ohio, you have New Jersey. Are there any other markets that Garden Society is looking at this point?
Right now, we are executing. We do want a fourth location. So I am, got my feelers out, but in full, I laugh about it, but this is the year of no shiny objects, head down execution. So we've got our hands full right now. I can see us in a future state where we try to add a fourth state on. And I think it's too early for us to say, but if anybody has a good idea, shoot them my way.
And you mentioned the CBC and CBG products coming out in July. Is there anything else along those lines that you can discuss at this point?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a high dose gummy. We're really excited about that. Ohio has some cool product requirements that are different from California. So that's exciting. And I would say what's actually most exciting is that we are launching a live rosin in the Ohio market with our landlord. He's Farkas Farms. He's an incredible partner of ours. He's our landlord, but he's also one of the best cultivators in the state, without a doubt. His stuff sells out in 15 minutes on LeafLink. So if you don't know him, check him out online, Farkas Farms. And we're doing a co-branded live rosin with him, and we're super pumped. That goes live next week. So that's real-time product launching. And then the minors, and then the high dose. So it's all coming together.
Wow, you certainly have your hands full.
Ooh, yes,
Well,
for sure.
in looking at my questions, I think those are all the ones that I had. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss that we didn't already touch on?
No, I think this is great. And I just really appreciate the interest and the time and sharing our story. And thank you for being a great supporter of Garden Society.
Well, thank you for taking some time to chat with me today. I really appreciated the chance to learn about you and your story.
Thank you.